Hello, Spartanburg Methodist College and everyone who's tuning in. Welcome to Testimonies with Tanner. I am Dr. Tom LeGrand, and I am here with Tanner Martin, a senior baseball player at Spartanburg Methodist, and this is his capstone project. So what we're going to do today is introduce you to Tanner and his project with me asking him some questions, and then over the next few weeks, he's going to be asking other people questions and presenting their views on life and faith and many other things. So Tanner, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm okay. So we kind of got into this thing last year when you found out I had podcast equipment, and you were like, that might be an interesting thing to do. Now, here I am, kind of an amateur at running the equipment, teaching you as someone who doesn't know how to run the equipment. So this could be fun for getting started. So let's start off with hearing a little bit about your story at Spartanburg Methodist and how you landed here.
So, coming here was kind of out of nowhere, to be honest. So I was a third-year JUCO player at Caldwell Tech. And so that year it went by pretty fast, but it didn't happen the way I expected it to go. So basically I played great all the way up until the spring started, and then spring started, I didn't play too great. And then I started playing pretty good, and then I had got caught with an injury. I tore my hamstring. And so with that, I didn't have any stats to put up and to reach out to coaches and give them. So my dad was actually the one that had reached out to Coach Nelson, and they talked, and I came on the visit here, and Coach Wallace, he basically told me, he was like, yeah, man, we have a whole different team, a whole different program because we are going NAI now. And so none of the starting outfielders came in. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm on board. All I wanted to do was just play baseball.
Just play ball. Okay, yeah. Very good. So now tell us a little bit about this capstone project and how you came into this. Because, of course, I teach capstone. You have to do it because I'm making you do it. As you know, we try to get students to get involved in something they're interested in doing, to learn career skills, to learn project management and all the things that you have to do. So tell us how you came to this particular project.
Well, of course, you were my professor at the time.
Yep.
And you were the one that said that we had to do this. And this is not something I wanted to do, but, it just is what it is. So it was actually kind of out of nowhere that this idea came to my head, because I don't know if you remember, I didn't have an idea up until about midway through.
I remember it well, Tanner.
So I didn't really even know what I wanted to do. Everybody else was picking their thing, and, I was just focused on baseball at the time. And so truthfully, baseball wasn't working out for me last year. I wasn't playing too great, and I was in a low moment, and I had been through everything that I'd been through. The Lord had taught me that this is not about me. So with that being said, I had a low moment after a game. I played horribly, and I go back to my room, and I'm just overwhelmed with these thoughts of I'm not good enough. And then so I prayed. I wanted to take that off of me, that thought, so I wanted to be helpful for others and ultimately the Lord. And so I prayed. I said, God, I'm not feeling the best right now, but that's okay. I just want you to help me be a vessel unto you. And, it's crazy because 3-4 minutes went by, and this idea came to my head, I want to do testimonies. And that just came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that is you're going through a low time, and other people on this campus have been through the same thing. We all have feelings of inadequacy. And I think in athletics, when we realize maybe we're not doing as well as we would like to do, or in class or at work, wherever it is. So everyone experiences this. And you kind of found that which is, by the way, what we want you to do with the capstone project, that universal hook that is, okay, this is important to me, and I think it can be valuable for other people. And so with that in mind, tell us a little bit about your faith background growing up and Christianity for you. When did you, and we are always evolving in our discipleship, of course. So where did all this start for you? Like when you were a kid, when you were a family growing up? How did this begin?
So I would say that my family has always been religious, like very religious. I grew up in church, and my mom, I grew up with her. I was living with her and my brother. So my mom always made sure that we were there at church on Sundays.
Okay.
And Sunday mornings, I was there for Bible school early, and then a little bit throughout the week, my aunt would take me to church days.
The Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a fun time.
Yeah. And I mean, I was a pastor's kid, so if the church was open, I was there. Still hold some bitterness about Sunday night church from when I was a kid, but that's okay. What type of church was it, Tanner?
It was a Southern Baptist church, mostly, I would say. It was more, I don't really know how to say it. It's just your Southern Baptist church.
Probably your traditional, regular old Southern Baptist.
Yeah, old Southern, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Caldwell County, that would be kind of typical, I think, in Caldwell County, North Carolina, as someone who spent some time in Wilkes County myself. So yeah, how did that early experience influence your life and your faith?
So I think I always had the sense of growing up in church that I'd always had the sense that there was a greater presence. Growing up, I always knew that there was God, and I prayed to him. And, I wasn't always, the strongest with my faith, but like I would pray. My mom would always have us pray before dinner, or just like even sometimes before bed, like come in and talk to us.
Now I lay me down to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that one of the things we see is those little faith experiences that you have when you're younger. Of course, we don't understand everything.
No.
Of course, we don't get it all. But I don't think anybody ever gets it all in this lifetime anyway.
No.
But you also have those little bits and pieces that kind of come together at certain times to help you remember, hey, I had a bad game. I'm not feeling good about myself. I know I can turn back to something else that is beyond me. Excellent. How has your faith changed during your time in college? People always talk about how faith changes in college, and we hear about how students don't go to church, although there are tons of religious activities beyond the traditional church. How has your faith changed and grown in college?
Oh, wow, man, there's ups and downs for sure. Coming into it, like my senior year, I just came off of a great senior year in high school, and I was very like in depth with the Lord, and like I gave baseball to him. And then whenever I get to college, I was so confident in my ability and as a baseball player, of course, and I think I stepped away from the Lord a little bit. So like, it's not that I didn't believe or like
Right. You didn't have a massive turning away from God or anything.
No.
It's just you weren't paying close attention to that. You were paying attention to other things.
Yeah, I ventured out and I was doing different things, not holy things.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happened. But like throughout my time and the lessons and the trials that I have been given, ultimately those things have shaped who I am today. Like when I said ups and downs,
Yeah, give us some examples of how they shaped you. You've given us some of that, but little more on that.
So I'm just going to start with my freshman year. Freshman year, like I said, I came in, I was confident, I wanted to be that guy, But then I get there and I realize, wow, I'm probably not that guy, because we sat out first practice and we took batting practice on the field, and we got one of the older guys just launching baseballs.
Wow.
Yeah, over the batter's eye in center field, 400 plus feet. And I realized that I wasn't exactly that, but I wanted to be that. And so I struggled a little bit early, and then something happened where I had caught the yips throwing.
Okay.
You know how putters, guys in golf.
I was about to say, tell us what the yips means for those who may not be aware.
It's a mental block, all I can say.
Okay, yeah.
And, this had it just came out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even know what was happening to me. Like, I just could not throw a baseball.
Wow.
Like, I couldn't hit my partner in the chest. And, that had took a toll on me tremendously, because I couldn't do the basic fundamental in baseball was play catch, and I couldn't do that.
And by the way, this happens in all kind of areas of life. So there's famously a guy named Chuck Knobloch who played second base for the Yankees, could not throw the ball to first. He's essentially rolling the ball to first base because he could not hit the first baseman. So it's even at the major league level that happens.
Yeah. So that happens. And I had this was just something that I don't even understand, as it kept happening. And the more I showed up to the field, I did not want to throw. I didn't want to do any of that. I dreaded coming to the field to play catch. And this was something that literally kept me up at night. I couldn't sleep because of it, and I think that had played a big role in it. And I wasn't playing the best. I wasn't hitting the best. And I remember I was like, God, what is happening? What is going on? You sent me here to Houston, Texas. I'm in one of the biggest cities. I am living the perfect life, essentially, to what I thought, and it's just not going my way. So that was a huge eye opener for me. And but as it transferred into my sophomore year, I still had it very bad. This had I still showed up to the field dreading to throw, to even just anything. I couldn't hit my cutoff to save my life, it felt like, from the outfield. And,
hard to play from the outfield when you can't throw the ball.
Yeah, that's the basic fundamental of it,
Well, and the difficulty of that is, here's something you've done 100,000 times. It's almost automatic. It's clockwork for you. And now, for no explicable reason, you just can't do it. And I think we all have those mental blocks in different areas of life that happen to us.
I just didn't understand it, and I'm sitting here, I'm doing a deep dive into any kind of article, any kind of help, any person that's dealt with this. I am literally keeping myself up at night. This carried over for 2-3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
This was a long time for me. And, like I said, it completely destroyed my confidence. And even off the field, I didn't think much about myself.
Right.
And it's tough to say, but simply, I remember one night after a bad game, I wasn't hitting well. I remember I literally cried my way home. Yeah. And I remember saying to myself, I can't even hit. I can't even throw. Why am I even playing?
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the roughest nights I've had.
Yeah.
Ever. I remember going home and having the thought that I didn't even want to carry on with this anymore. Baseball, and even, hate to say it, but even life.
Yeah.
That's how low I was, and that's tough. And I know my parents are not going to like hearing that, but.
Well, and I would say too, Tanner, just to keep in mind, baseball was one thing, but surely there were other things going on too that didn't feel right, that didn't feel good. Then you start to question yourself about everything.
Yeah.
About school, what are my capabilities there? I mean, it just kind of, when something like that happens, it just filters into everything.
Every little thing
that's going on, and it just eats at you.
Yeah.
Until you are like, well, what am I doing here, man?
Oh my gosh, it was terrible. Like you said, it crept into every little part of my life. This one little throwing thing that I couldn't do made me overthink everything. And I didn't even realize it, but it literally was wow, I just can't do anything.
So it's not that baseball is the most important thing in life. It's that it impacted everything in your life around you, that you were letting it become this huge thing.
Because my identity was so wrapped up in being a great baseball player. Everybody goes to college thinking, or growing up thinking, I want to play professional.
Right.
If I can't do the basic fundamental, how the heck am I even going to step on the field?
Yeah. How can I play at this level?
Literally.
That's right. And I think you made a great point there, identity, and finding our identity in things that we love and forgetting that there are other things that matter. And that's part of what you're doing here with this podcast, is reminding us that there are hard times, and yet there are things that may matter more than some of these things. Speaking of that, now obviously there are students on our campus who go through harder things than even athletics.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see testimonies impacting people in a positive way? How do you see this having a good influence on others to hear stories like this?
Well, I think it's great because, you never, when you're in that low point in your life, you think you're the only one that feels that way.
Hmm.
When you hear from others, but you hear from others what they're going through,
Yeah.
I had a couple teammates of mine give their testimony,
Okay.
and I listened to theirs and I was like, wow, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Theirs was more like real world problems.
Gotcha.
Mine was just baseball,
Kind of put it in perspective for you a
Yeah,
little bit. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Very good. And with that in mind, tell us about a couple of the people, because obviously you're trying to create identification with problems, some unity among people who need faith or need something in their life to pull them out of the dregs when they're in it. Who are some of the people who are going to be coming on the pod over the next couple of weeks?
So later this week, I will do a podcast with my boy on the baseball team, Jerry Pinkney. He is somebody that I look up to. I won't tell him that to his face, but he has been a guide for me. He's been a great friend, And so another person, Savannah Evans, she's on the softball team. She'll be giving her story. She's got a great story, I think. And then Maria Kithcart. I don't know what made me decide to use her. I think it was the fact that every day she showed up, she was smiling. And the more I got to talk to her outside of class, I understood that there was more to it. And I knew that she was a Christian because of how she teaches.
Right.
And she would speak about her faith with the Lord. And I wanted to learn more about her. And I realized talking to her, she has been through a lot.
Yeah.
And for her to show up every day with a smile on her face is so encouraging.
And she's always willing to talk to you.
Oh.
She's happy to talk with you. So keep in mind, and you'll get bonus points if you use this. Savannah was in my class last semester, and she was known as the Tiny Terror. So if you refer to her as the Tiny Terror on the podcast, all the better for you.
I'll sneak that in there.
Yeah, you need to throw that in there. She'll know where it came from, probably. So we've got a good lineup of people. Luckily, I know all those folks, and they're just great people to hear from.
Yeah.
Jerry and the background that he comes from, to be a baseball player is not the easiest thing. So we have some really great stuff coming up. Share a little bit about where you're at right now in your faith. What's going on with you as you come to the end of the line here at SMC? And I know we had the big home run a couple weeks ago to walk off, and that was fun.
Great.
And it's kind of like golf, it doesn't matter how bad it's going. You get that one shot. You're like, okay, I'm going back for another one.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of your shot to remind you that you're still good at this game.
Oh gosh, dude, that was a great moment. It came out of nowhere, to be honest, but honestly, what was the...
Well, tell me a little bit about where you're at in your faith journey.
Okay.
You know me, Tanner. I shift gears a lot.
It's all right. Where I'm at right now, I would say, I am the most confident version of myself right now. And, I think that has came from all the stuff that I just talked about.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to it, but, just the trials and the patience that I have to have with the Lord, that has ultimately strengthened me into who I am right now. But right now, I want to make this very clear to everybody. I don't claim to be the perfect Christian. I still mess up. I mess up daily.
Right.
I do things I'm not supposed to do, but I do have a close relationship with the Lord right now, I would say. I pray to him every day. I'm not always in my word every day, but I still try sometimes to go out there and read a verse or, just think about what I have and what I used to not have. And, I am a lot more humble than I used to be, I would say.
Yeah. Huge component of faith that we sometimes forget about.
I still might not be the most humble person, but it's compared to who I was at 18, 19, it's completely different.
Yes, I'm not the most humble person either, but compared to who I was at 18 and 19, I'm a lot more humble than I once was, for sure. And, we often talk about the strength of God, the power of Christ, and those are all important things. The humility of us in Christ is really, really critical, because if you think you don't need something, it's hard for you to get something. I'm too cool for this. I'm too good for this. I'm so strong. I don't need this. All of us can fall into that. We can get cocky pretty easy.
Oh, yeah.
And keeping ourselves out of that's the key to kind of keeping our faith going.
And, you know, baseball is a great way for, or even any sport, to show like if you get too up, it's going to knock you right back down,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
I think God does that, you know, like whenever he has weird ways of humbling us.
Well, God and 90-mile-an-hour fastballs will humble you
Yeah.
quickly.
Especially with a breaking ball and a changeup for sure.
Yes. Arguably the hardest thing to do in sports, hit a fastball.
Yeah, I would say.
For sure. Tanner, we're looking forward to the next couple of weeks, and thank you for taking the time to tell us about your project and tell us a little bit about what you're hoping to go into career-wise, what you'd like to look forward to. And we've talked a little bit about how this project helps you with that.
Yeah.
Since I'm going to tell on you, your first thought was, why does this have anything to do with my career? So tell us a little bit about that.
So the plan for me right now, I have another year of eligibility due to my injury a couple years ago. So I plan on taking that. I do plan on furthering my education. I would like to go and get my master's in business administration.
Yeah, MBA.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I think that will help me with connections and obviously more education into where I want to go. But the plan is to get into pharmaceutical sales. That's what I want to do. I don't know why that since I was like an early teenager, like since I was a kid, like that has been the thought.
Wow. Okay.
It's so crazy. It's just like I've always had that career in mind. I want to go and sell pharmaceutical equipment or medicine, you know.
Okay. Very good. And I think you certainly have the relational skills for it. Looking forward to seeing what happens for the rest of the season and with that MBA. And we look forward to hearing from you on Testimonies with Tanner.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Thank you.
All right. You'll be running the show next time.
Sounds good.
We're starting with this, everybody, and we hope that you'll continue joining Tanner as he wraps up his capstone and spreads the good word around SMC and other places. Thank you so much, and we look forward to having you around for the next round.